Okay, hey y'all. We are back and we are live. I did everything correct this time, so I'm so proud of myself. Because y'all know I be joining the live without getting live on YouTube or doing it the opposite. I don't know what I be doing, but we learning, we getting better and we learning with these lives. So I thought I'd come to y'all with a live on a Sunday afternoon. I was trying not to cut into y'all's Real Housewives of Atlanta time because I know some of y'all watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I know it's the second half of the reunion. So I was doing my best not to cut into that time. So if I am, I apologize, catching in the replay, or just pause the Real Housewives and go back to that, whichever you prefer. We are going to get into the second part of the reunion for Love and Marriage Detroit. This is season 1, reunion special part 2. Thank God it's over. Okay, I don't even know what episode this is. Maybe it's 12. Who knows? Okay, but we are done. We are tied. We are over it with Love and Marriage Detroit. Let me know in the chat if they get a season 2, which I feel they don't deserve based on ratings. We're going by the numbers. They do not deserve a season 2, in my opinion. But y'all let me know what y'all think, because I could be wrong. But in my humble opinion, they do not deserve a season 2. Okay, because y'all were giving nothing. It started out like it could be good, but it got real. It got real iffy after 3 or 4 episodes. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure. Yes. Okay. So anyway, like I said, this is Love and Marriage Detroit, into the reunion. Okay, before we get into what we're about to get into, I would really appreciate if y'all would click that like button for me. Comment down below, get in the chat. If you're in the replay crew, then just comment there. Also, share the video where you like to share your videos, and subscribe. Please subscribe. Before we get into the review. So, I'm really trying to work on growing this channel. I'm really trying to work on growing this channel, first of all. So any support I get, I appreciate it. I thank you. And I'm not complaining in any kind of way. It could be a slow process depending on, how you do your videos and how often you do it. I'm a teacher, y'all. I'm a full-time special education teacher. I was going to say special needs, but it's better to say special education. So I'm a full-time special education teacher, and that takes a lot out of me. So I don't have a lot of extra time for YouTube. So it's just really something fun to do on the side for me. Of course, I want to be monetized. Of course, I want to grow my channel. So, but I'm grateful for any support I get. However, I'm looking at the analytics, and I'm looking at, okay, I'm going to work on this. I got some things I'm going to work on. However, I'm looking at a lot of the people watching are more people who are not subscribed. So I'm like, well, why are y'all not clicking the subscribe button? Like, it don't cost you nothing. It's free. What's the point of watching and not subscribing? I don't really get that, but I appreciate all my subscribers, and I appreciate those who are, going to subscribe. Okay. I'm not tripping. I'm just saying the analytics of YouTube sucks. So we just need support. All the YouTubers, we can use the support. Okay. Anyway, let's get into this review. Okay. So they pick up where they left off with Carlos asking Colby, like, do you accept sorry, I'm trying to get the camera in the position I like, but I got my good setup this time, y'all. So he was asking Colby, do you accept Brandon's apology? She started breaking down crying, y'all. She's like, and I was like, girl, really? Over Kobe Cat? Really? Because every time they say it now, it's funny to me. Even when Carlos said, so were you offended when Brandon called you a Kobe Cat? Like, that is funny to me because you're talking about a 3rd grade term, like with some grown people. So to me, it's hilarious. Like, yeah, it was funny. And my thing is, a lot of people replying on Twitter saying like, yeah, she is still offended. And I'm like, girl, if that's not you, if the shoe don't fit, then let it go. Like, don't even claim that. I would be like, well, he called me Kobe Cat. Kristina was copying Kobe outfits through the show. Okay, so they copy each other. I wouldn't claim Kobe Cat over my life if it was me. I'm just saying, like, come on, like, really, it's not that deep. she crying. So Kristina goes over there to console her or whatever. And I'm trying to watch the chat, y'all, multitask. So Kristina goes over there to console her, and she's like, I brought them on the show, and I would have never brought them on if I knew our friendship would turn to this. And I guess Brandon and Kristina and Colby and Russell have really known each other for 20 years. I think they said they really do know each other in real life. Okay. And Brandon and Anthony knew each other for 20 years. But I think Dr. Latoya and Kristina didn't have that much of a friendship. And I don't think the Russell and Colby knew Latoya and Anthony that well, is what I think. Anyway, so Kristina was like, I would have never, me and Colby's never had an issue, and I hated had to come to this, and I am very protective of Colby and all this stuff. And like I said, she brought them on the show. Okay. So then Brandon and Russell get up and hug and dab it up. They good. They said, they're going to move forward. It's going to take time, but they're going to all move forward. Even Kristina and Russell hugged. I thought Colby was going to get mad at that. Remember, she's like, don't call my man. So I was like, well, can she hug him? So anyway, then Carlos got on this whole thing. He said, with this show, you guys weren't three couples who didn't know each other and thrown into this social experiment. Like, you guys really knew each other. And that's what sucks, is that, all this friendship, like, you wouldn't be this mad if you didn't really like each other. And, we can see this is what makes your show good and organic. And I'm like, you giving the show a lot, Carlos. You giving Detroit quite a bit. I think he playing. I think he is not happy with them numbers deep down inside. But it's okay, Carlos. You know what? You claim it, okay? You claim it until it works. Anyway, then they move on from that whole thing, and they get to, I believe we get to the issue then between Brandon and Anthony, if I'm not mistaken, right? So then, hold on a second, y'all. Oh, okay, never mind. We get to the issue with Brandon and Anthony, and so they just show that whole package. And so, when they came back to the commercial, and so Brandon was like, I don't think Carlos might ask him a question or something, and Brandon was like, first of all, Big Sean, Lanisha, Tequila. No, he didn't. He said La Britney, Lanisha, Lachey. He named a bunch of artists. And he said those are all artists from the Star Factory. Isn't La Britney? Wasn't she on like Love and Hip Hop or something? That name sounded familiar. And we all do know Big Sean. The other people he named, I didn't know. If y'all knew all the artists that Brandon named that he said he would consider all stars, and they all came out the Star Factory, please let me know, because I didn't know them people he was naming. Okay. I didn't know who they was. I was like, who are they? Besides Big Sean and maybe La Britney, who are they? Anywho, then he also, so then Anthony was like, oh yeah, they all paid their $50. And so then Brandon was like, it was more than $50. And so then Anthony, so Carlos was like, well, Anthony, you say you touched $1 million. He's like, I have. He's like, I didn't did TED Talks. We making, because Brandon tried to say he didn't did all this, and Anthony said he didn't did all that. We making all this money over here. We doing TED Talks. I'm doing thousands a day. I'm doing all this. I'm doing all that. He said he doing concerts and shows. And Brandon was like, we still don't know what you do. And I said, Anthony, we still don't know what you do. I don't care what you did. Like, are you the producer of the TED Talks? Are you the one doing the lighting and the music? Like, what do you specifically do? Because you have not said it. You did say you work for Live Nation. Okay. Are you the one running the background, getting the ticket sales done? Are you giving us our refund? When Beyonce canceled one of her shows? No, she didn't cancel, y'all. I'm just joking. But did you do the refunds when it came to the Babyface and Anita Baker situation? Like, what do you do at Live Nation? Like, I need you to say your specific title, okay? Say the title. Because we don't know what you do down to the Live Nation at all. We don't know what it is that you do, sir. We really don't know. Anywho, then, they're going back and forth. Brandon said, or Anthony said, he started saying the stuff about Brandon because of Brandon started it. That's why he went there. And so Carlos asked about the question. Well, let me back up. Dr. Latoya said she didn't like the comment about Anthony was getting his money from his dad. Anthony's like, his dad's a social worker. I didn't think Anthony got no money from his dad based on the way he said he grew up and everything like that. I didn't really see that for him. He ain't got no generational wealth over there, no shade. But anywho, Latoya piped in. Dr. Latoya piped in. She's like, first of all, I don't understand why you would say he got the money from his dad when, you know, we want to teach, we're creating general wealth over here, and that's what we're trying to do. And, you know, it's a thing in our community where if somebody has a lot of money, you guys want to say, you know, oh, they must be drug dealers, they must be this and that. How did they get the money? One thing I don't like about the show, and this is especially what Dr. Latoya does, well, we talking about one specific comment, and then you snowball it to this big old magnified issue. But I guess that's the point of reality TV, right? I'm like, I don't think he was judging them for generational wealth. He was just jabbing Anthony. Like, wasn't that serious? Anyway, so they were going back and forth, like I said. Brandon was like, you know, I was just taking jabs at him, whatever. And so then Carlos brought up the snake comment, right? And so, you know, he's like, well, you did call him a snake. You called Brandon a snake. And so Anthony said, you know what? I was just mad. I was just doing a low blow at the time. And so then I think they went to commercial and they came back, right? And Carlos was asking Anthony, do you feel that Brandon hates on you? And he's like, yeah, I do feel like sometimes he tries to hate on me. And earlier, Carlos had asked Anthony, do you respect what Brandon does? And he's like, oh, I've always respected his career and all this stuff. I don't think he does. I think that Dr. Latoya and Anthony do not respect Brandon and Kristina, and I've said it almost every freaking review now. Anthony says he does think this is something they can come back from. You know, they've known each other a long time. They don't owe each other money. They ain't sleeping with each other's spouse. So they good over there. They can come back from it. Okay. So then Anthony also said, you know, he was mad at him. That's why he was trying to, you know, keep the Star Factory stuff away from him. And then also Kristina said she didn't understand, you know, why it created an issue between her and Dr. Latoya, and Brandon didn't want that to, or Anthony, I'm sorry, didn't want that to happen, but it was kind of the residual effects of the situation. So, anywho, then I think this is the part when then Dr. Latoya and Kristina got into it. So, you know, Kristina was saying, Dr. Latoya was saying they didn't have a friendship to begin with, because he was asking, well, Kristina, do you think Dr. Latoya like, are y'all good? And she's like, well, we don't talk because we never really talked. They didn't really have a friendship, even though their husbands knew each other, which I find that interesting. But anywho, because at some point y'all would have hung out or something, right? If the husbands know each other that well. But y'all know reality TV, they can know each other in passing and they claim they know each other. So anyway, then they had the whole debate about, you know, they don't talk, and Dr. Latoya says she wanted to get to know everybody on the show, and Kristina feels like she wasn't really open to her, and Dr. Latoya said you might have felt that way because I'm very cold, and like the way I try to get to know people is a little difficult as I get older, which is true. As you get older, it's harder to make friends with people. You don't really trust people. She's like, so that could be, maybe I was giving you the cold shoulder. And so Kristina's thing is like, yeah, I feel like you were nice to everybody but me. So I feel like there's a personal problem with me. And so Dr. Latoya is like, there's no personal problem with you. I feel like, you know, you could be a manipulator. Somehow that manipulator word came back up, and I'm tired of Dr. Latoya calling Kristina manipulator. Like, it's played out now. So then Kristina said something about they had a mutual friend, and so Kristina doesn't even understand why, you know, it's doing all this. Like, you know, we had a mutual friend. You could have asked somebody who really knows me about me. And so I guess Kristina then revealed that that Dr. Latoya asked a mutual friend some questions, and the mutual friend said Kristina was a liar, a cheater, a deceiver. Nah, they said that you guys are users, you guys are manipulators and all this stuff, scammers. And so everybody was like, who's you guys? Who's we? And so because even Anthony was defending Brandon, like, oh, I ain't heard that about Brandon. And so she's like, well, she said Kristina was all this. And so Then Dr. Latoya says at the Shut Up and Pray brunch, she feels that Kristina was trying to manipulate her into saying something, and she feels like she's just this manipulative person. And so Christina's again like, what do you mean? Like, how are you saying that? Like, what is your clear examples of how was I using people? How was I manipulating? Like, what is your example? And so then Dr. Latoya brings up Kobe again, and I'm like, Dr. Latoya, I need you to have your own fight. Quit bringing up Kobe. You need to have your own fight, ma'am. So then she's like, again, what does this have to do with Kobe? She's like, oh, because you didn't reach out to Kobe, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And so Christina's like, again, like, what does that have to do with you? That has to do with Kobe. And so then Kobe was trying to pipe up, but Christina's like, Kobe, like, I'm sorry, but nah, I'm talking to Dr. Toy. And I'm like, dang, let Kobe speak. And so then she was like, you didn't call Kobe, you didn't check on her, you didn't do this and that, like, you weren't there for her, but you claim you were a sister and all this. I feel like we talked about this in the first part, didn't we? So then Christina's like, does that have to do with you? Like, that has nothing to do with you. And she's like, Kobe didn't contact me either, and she was the one going off on me. So what's good? And then finally Kobe got to speak up. She's like, did you just say none of these things about Kobe? And Dr. Latoya was like, I did say Kobe should have reached out and should not have been raising her voice at you. So then finally, right, Kobe got to speak up and say, like, well, yeah, Dr. Latoya did say this and that, and she did hold me accountable and all this good stuff, right? And so, sorry, y'all, I didn't mean to. I was making sure that the thing was playing. So anyway, so finally Kobe got to speak up for herself and say, Dr. Latoya did hold me accountable. And she said, I feel like sometimes in certain ways, maybe Dr. Latoya is misunderstood because she did hold me accountable. Okay. And so Carlos is like, that's the thing with you, Kristina and Dr. Latoya. Like, y'all didn't really have no real beef. So I feel like you guys can hopefully get past this. He's like, but we still got to get to the bottom of this publicist, Britney. So then they did a whole package about the publicist, Britney. Y'all remember when I think Kristina was going to deal with, was it the Harper Ray? No, it wasn't Harper Ray. I don't know what she was going to do. She was going to be doing some kind of deal, and Britney was going to be helping her with something, working with Britney, basically. And you know how they said Brandon said she don't mess with her. So they showed the whole stupid package of that. Britney and her finger waves and her green blazer, right? So Carlos is like, okay, Brandon, did you say what Anthony said you said about you don't rock with Britney? He said, I definitely did not say those words. Those words did not come out of my mouth. Anthony is like, you definitely said it. And so Anthony said, you said verbatim, you don't mess with her. She arrogant. She all this. So Carlos is like, well, what would be the point of Anthony making that up? Like, why would he lie about that? Like, that is very specific information. Like, why would he say all that? And so Brandon was like, I don't know. He lied through his teeth. I don't know why he would say it, but he's lying through his teeth. Anthony's like, let's take a lie detector test. So Russell's like, I ain't got a dog in a fight, but Brandon, you did say during filming that, like, if you said it, then you don't remember it. And he's like, I only said that because he was so adamant on saying that I said it, but I really didn't say it, right? And so then they're like, well, the bottom, like the common denominator, because Carlos is like, we going in a hamster wheel basically, because one saying they did, one said they didn't, right? And he was like, and the person who ain't here to tell what's the true tea is Britney. And so Brandon and Kristina then reveal some never before seen footage, okay? And this was the only good part of the reunion. I will say this part of the reunion was at least better than last week because we got a few new bit of information, a very, very little tidbits of new information. When I say very little tidbits, I mean very little tidbits, y'all. So anyway, so then, like I said, Brandon and Kristina are talking about, yeah, you know, it wasn't shown on the show, but Britney did say that Anthony is basically on a mission to prove that Brandon is a liar. So they rolled the footage, right? And they show when Kristina was talking to Britney at the little lunch. And when she was repeating what Anthony said on the phone, right? And she said that, yeah, Anthony did say that he is going to prove to the world that Brandon is a liar. And Kristina was like, oh, interesting. Okay. So then they also showed the clip from when they were all at the getaway, right? And where Brandon, they had got her on the line because they was arguing about the stupid thing with Britney. And so and going back and forth. So remember how they got Britney down to the line at the dinner and put her on speakerphone, right? Remember that, y'all? So they did that. And they showed Brandon asking Britney, like, okay, Britney, did you recall when Anthony said to you that he is going to try to prove to the world that I'm a liar? So then Britney says, he did mention you on the phone, and he did say something to the effect that he wants to try to show that you are a liar. And he said, thank you. Okay. So Kristina's like, I don't know why that wasn't played on the show. And so Anthony was like, I did not say those things. I don't know where that's coming from. And so I'm like, first of all, if they would have played this on the show, I mean, we still would have been in confusion, first of all. But at least it would have cleared it up a little bit more, because it is giving Anthony is plotting something. That's what it's giving for me. Anthony is a liar. Okay. And now the thing that didn't get cleared up, see, there's a lot of things that didn't get cleared up for me that I wish was cleared up. Not that the show was giving. Well, what about Kristina saying that she mentioned Russell and Kobe when she didn't? We didn't address that. The other thing we didn't address that I'm not happy that Carlos didn't hold Anthony accountable for is how sassy Anthony, aka Andrea, was coming at all the girls, calling people. He did make fun of the little boy coming, but he didn't get on him about saying little girl and all that stuff, and how he was in women's faces going off and screaming, which claims to be the theme this week on OWN Network. Because y'all watch Ready to Love, we could stop talking about this and go to Ready to Love if y'all want to. Because remember on Ready to Love on Friday when Chris was going off on Jessica, okay, and getting all in her face allegedly, but it wasn't shown. Okay, so I'm just saying let's not do that on. Let's not show black men getting in black women's faces. Like that's not good at all. Like, let's not do that. So anyway, so going back to the review, I just wanted to rant a little bit. Yeah, so they were talking about Britney. So Carlos said, the thing is, there's a lot of people in the streets that are around you guys that are want to try to get on the like associate with you or kick up mess to try to get their way on the show. He's like, I'm not saying that was Britney was doing, but I'm just saying, like, for me, it seems like Britney was kind of causing some chaos to be on the show. Like he said, let me know if you disagree or agree. So Kristina was like, no, I don't see her being like that. And so Kobe was like, bingo. Okay, that's what it was. And so Anthony's like, no. And so for me, that's what it was. And so Carlos was like, Britney, thank you for your services. Carlos then asked Anthony, like he said, people did say that it seemed that you and Britney rehearsed that conversation before the call, and you told her what to say, like you were in on it. And Anthony was like, no way, he would never do that. Yes, that's what happened. Actually, now it's all making sense to me. And I did think that Brandon initially did say the comments, and I was kind of still thinking he did. But now I'm changing my stance, y'all. And I can apologize if I'm wrong, okay? You know, I don't like being wrong. But I think Anthony made up the lie, and he was in cahoots with Britney to get the mess started, is what I think. And I do believe that he does, like Brandon said, he wants Britney all to himself, and that was the reason he did it. I think that's exactly what happened. Because Carter was talking about the liar, so, you know, detailed and all this stuff. Yeah, he's a good liar. Look at Anthony. He's a good old liar, okay? He know how to lie. He lied to his wife. He know how to lie, okay? Like Carter said, him and Marcel are the same person. He know how to lie. So, no, I believe that It was all schemes set up by Anthony and Britney, and that's what it was. Okay. So anyway, and I'm gonna keep talking and try to share at the same time on my Twitter. But anyway, um, so as I was saying, right, um, okay, so they went to commercial after that, and then we came back and we talking about the freaking man's movement, which I am tired of hearing about. I'm so tired of the man's movement. So tired of the man's movement. So they did a package about the man's movement, and Carlos asked Anthony basically like what made you want to start it, what it was. He said it's for men to deal with issues like mental health, starting a business, a lot of black men can't get loans and things like that. Just all kind of different broad topics about men, bringing other resources and organizations together to help the men, which is cool. I think that's a good idea. The way he explained it right here in this moment was much better than the way it was explained on the show. It seems like a very broad idea that I think what he wants to do is like, okay, he wants to have a lane for the business owners, people to help young men start business, a lane for mental health, a lane for, health and wellness or whatever. I think he's trying to do a bunch of different things at once. So maybe he needs to figure out how all that's going to work together. But, I understand more now what he's trying to do. And so Carlos asked Brandon, like, okay, now with that explanation, do you understand what it was? Brandon said, huh? He said, who, me? And so he was like, yeah, do you understand what the brand movement is now? He's like, yeah, sure. And then Kobe go say, that does not sound real. I was like, Kobe, what does the man's movement have to do with you? It don't matter if Brandon don't understand it ever a day in his life. What does it have to do with you, honey? What does that have to do with you? So anyway, then they asked Kristina, do you understand a man's movement? As you hear what you doing, girl? So then she was like, she didn't really understand it all, but when he explained it, she saw it on tape. She kind of understood what it was, but she also didn't understand because she said men, at first she didn't understand because men have so many opportunities. They got it going on. They doing all this. So like men get everything. Like basically, when it comes to gender, men are the dominant gender, but Anthony said for black and brown men, that is not the case. So I understand that part too. Okay. Brandon said he just didn't understand, like he kind of got it, but at the same time he didn't because, when they was doing that little walk around the block, for no reason. And he was like, he didn't think the people around him understood why they were doing that. And I agree. Like, I think the idea is great. The execution is just poor. Okay. The execution was poor, but I'm assuming this was like the first time he did it. So hopefully it gets better. I don't know. At least he's trying to do something for the community, y'all, I guess, if we had to give him some flowers. But like I said before, I didn't particularly care for how Carlos didn't hold him accountable for his B-word shenanigans on this show. And he held Russell to the fire, which we're going to get to in a minute. So that was like one of the last segments. So anyway, moving on. Carlos asked, we appreciate you doing something. He said, how was it meeting Marcel? And so he's like, oh yeah, Marcel's real cool. We had a lot in common. He made a lot of jokes. He's like, yeah, Bravo was so excited about him. And he's like, I had to meet this guy. And he was saying like, he came in real cool. And he's like, the one funny thing he said that I remember is like, he's like, you don't know who I am, man. I'm famous. I am Marcel Scott. I am a celebrity. I am Marcel Scott. I am famous. I was like, sounds right. That sounds like something Marcel would say. Marcel, you're famous in Huntsville. Okay. That's what you're famous at, Marcel. But y'all know how Marcel do. Y'all know how he do. Speaking of Marcel, we're going to be back down to Love Marriage Huntsville next week, y'all. Can y'all believe it? Are y'all ready? At least the trailer was good. So hopefully, that show will help us pick things up. I'm hoping. Because Love Marriage Detroit didn't do nothing. It didn't do nothing. So, anywho, Carlos made a joke saying like, "Oh, I can't believe Marcel would say that." He's being sarcastic. He's like, "Continue," and so he was like, "Yeah, he's really cool, and he really, we glad he came." And so Carlos said, "Yeah, Marcel Scott is from Pontiac, Michigan," and they have said that on the show that they're from Michigan as well, near Detroit. I don't know how far Pontiac and Detroit are from each other. Somebody will have to let me know that in the chat, okay, or the comments. So, and so Carlos was like, "Yeah, he's from Pontiac, Michigan." And you guys got the same views. Talking about Anthony. And I was like, "Y'all sure do." And see, Carlos, you know what you're doing, because you're doing a certain kind of types of people. You typecasting people. And Anthony definitely was a typecast. So anyway, they go to a commercial, they come back, and so then they talk to Russell and Colby, and they do their little package about their communication issues. And so Carlos said, "What is going on? Like, when did this breakdown of communication start?" And so Colby said, "Well, first of all, this is the Russell y'all see today is not the Russell of yesterday." She said, when she first met Russell was in the streets. Okay, he was in the club. They would be in the VIP sections of the club, making out, having a good old time, popping bottles. I said, "Russell." But remember, Russell did say he used to be in the club all the time. I know he was in the club like that. Okay, Russell. Okay. Colby said they was in the club. Okay. They was making love in the club. I ain't mad at it. So she said, but he was a principal at the time. So he's Principal Harris. Now, I was shocked to learn that Russell used to be a principal. And he would be clean cut at work, but then, he'd be in the club. And she was like, and so Carlos was like, "Oh, you like them bad boys?" And he was like, "Well, he wasn't like a bad boy like that. He was like, kind of mysterious, but he was out there in the club and he would be letting loose in the club." And so he started kind of cleaning up his ways, or I guess kind of tightening it up more, not being in the club so much, when he would see the parents of his kids at the school in the club. And I just really was laughing and connected with that, y'all, because like I said, I'm a high school teacher. So I don't be wanting to see people's parents that I work with, the students. I don't want to see nobody's parents of my students anywhere I'm out and about having fun, especially in the club, okay? Especially in the club, because when you're a teacher or any job, especially in education, though, you got to maintain a level of professionalism. So I don't want them to see me in the club dropping it, backing it up, popping, shots and bottles. Like, no. So I could resonate that with Russell. Like, no, I don't add no parents to my social media. I don't add the people that work at the school. Okay. I don't want my life outside that school is very separate. Okay. So I couldn't take it. Like, ooh, I would be like, do not look the other way. Do not. Yeah, that would be really weird. I've only seen one parent, but at church, and I already knew they went to the same church as me. So, and their family has, so that's different. Church is different. Okay. But the club, I had that experience and I don't want it. Okay. Anyway. So Carlos asked, has there been progress when it comes to the whole communication of it all? And so Colby said it's been real slow progress. And she said the thing is that like Russell, he hasn't been married that long, but they've been married 4 years. And he's still learning how to be a husband. He's still learning how to communicate. And he's not one that has an outlet. He doesn't have anyone to come home, like talk about his stuff with. So I'm trying to be more vocal of asking him and getting it out of him. And he's going through a lot. And that's why I feel like men and women are different. And, some of us can compartmentalize and all that. And I feel like I have to do more to, step it up and communicate with him so he can communicate. And, I might be going through something, but I don't know how his day was. And I'm just like, "Girl, what?" And Carlos was like, "Girl, what?" Carlos said, "Sounds like you're making a bunch of excuses for him." He was like, "Y'all been married 4 years. Like, what is the problem?" He was like, "Russell can, hurry up and start a gym and become a chaplain, but then he can't communicate." Like, nah, he ain't buying it. And I'm with Carlos, and I'm glad Carlos kind of held his feet to the fire a little bit. Like, that's not an excuse, Colby. It's not an excuse. And so Carlos is like, "You need to be communicating with your wife." And so he's like, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And he's like, well, she said progress is slow. And he said, girls, he did a little quick sermon spiel about no progress, little progress is better than no progress. And sometimes growth can be slow and all this stuff. And so, and so then Anthony was like, go on, brother, go on, brother. And so, he was like, you testifying or something like that. And so Carlos King was like, more like gaslighting. And then Russell's like, no, I'm not gaslighting. Like, yeah, I used to run track as well. I used to do all these things, and I'm really trying to work on it and all this stuff. And so he's like, but what is the problem, Russell? Like, you need to, he's like, we haven't been married that long. Carlos is like, y'all been married 4 years. Like, you need to communicate with your wife. Like, if you can go start all these things, what is the problem? And I agree. Russell just don't want to do it. That's what it is. He just don't want to communicate with his wife. He want to be the man, and this is what I say, go. And there's nothing wrong with the man leading and being the head of the household. I agree with that. But you also, your wife is there as a helpmate, and you need to communicate with her. And it's not everything you say, go. That's not how it's going to go. Okay. You need to talk it over with your wife, especially big decisions like owning a gym where you tying up her finances and yours, becoming a pastor, which is a major life change, because then essentially she may become a first lady and she's going to have to be in that role. Like, come on. Like, you can't think that's okay, Russell. You really can't. So anyway, they, so basically Carlos said, the thing is, like, do it now, because you don't want your wife to get tired of communicating these things to you to the point where she feels like she's in a marriage by herself. And I think Carlos was saying that because he could see other couples that he deals with on these shows, like Bell Collective and other love and marriage franchise shows, right? And that's what happens in their marriage. So I think he was trying to like help them deal with it now before it gets worse, kind of thing. And he's kind of pouring into them. So anyway, then they get the commercial, they come back. And so Carlos asked what's next for all the couples. He did say, he thanks them. Detroit was very special to him. They did such a good job their first season. No, they didn't. Carlos, where was the good job? Where was the good job? So anyway, he asked them what's next for everybody. So for Brandon and Kristina, I think the last name is Smith, for the Smiths, they're going to continue to work on their marriage. They have stopped counseling. They're going to get back in counseling. He said also, get more in tune with God. He ain't going to divinity school, but they're going to be going to church more and all that good stuff. For the Thompsons, Dr. Latoya and Anthony, they're going to continue to grow. The wine, they're expanding their wine to, I think she said, Atlanta, North Carolina, and all those good places. I wonder if they're in California yet. I'll be curious to know that. And so he was saying something about they're going to get a house in LA. She was looking at him like, please stop. And they're going to continue to grow. Okay. And then they did ask about Russell and Colby, the Harrises, and he said the one thing he's happy about is that Colby's pregnant. He said they got tired of looking at each other and they're expecting a baby. And I was like, okay, that makes sense why Colby was sitting up there looking half uncomfortable the whole time. Not that she looked so big or anything, but I don't know, her face looked, I don't know, she just looked weird. She looked weird. Even her face looked weird to me. And I think maybe it's because she's pregnant. Not that pregnancy make you look weird. But I don't know, maybe her face looked a little fuller or something just looked different or off about Colby. So I'm thinking the pregnancy is what it was. Speaking of Dr. Thompson, though, let me backtrack. I just remember the part that was kind of funny. I'm trying to make this entertaining for y'all, okay? Shout out to Belle, the Belle Perspective, her channel. Follow her, y'all. She had commented on my community tab when I posted this live. She was like, you still reviewing this show? And I was like, girl, yes. I kept up with the show because I at least wanted to do a full season, okay? And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to commit to the whole season and I'm going to just do the best I can with what I got. Okay. I don't have that many shows I review, like I said at the beginning. And so I could make time much better for weekend shows. So that's why I just stuck with it. I wanted to give all the Love and Marriage franchises a chance because I know a lot of people don't like Carlos King. Some people don't like the shows, or you do like the shows. You tired of Huntsville, you're not, whatever. I like Huntsville still. Some of the old drama was getting tiring though, so I'm hoping when they come back as new stuff, like all that other stuff, leave it in the past. They were rehashing too much on there for me, but it's still entertaining to watch. Detroit was not good. It was not good. I do like DC. When are they coming back? I'm still stressing like what's going on over there. So, and the cast claim they don't know either. They already shot the reunion. Like, I do like that one. I do think the shows are interesting to see like different marital dynamics. Are they like goals or anything? No, but nobody's marriage should be your goal. Your own marriage should be your goal, in my opinion. So, it is what it is on that. But yeah, I just continue reviewing the show because I just wanted to give it a full chance and try not to give up on shows. I try my best not to quit in the middle of a show. I quit on Married to Medicine. I might try them again because I just got too busy and overwhelmed last school year. And I didn't finish the Ultimatum because it got boring, y'all. And I'm not going to finish it. So if you're looking for me to finish the Ultimatum, I'm probably not going to finish it because it just got boring. Like, the ring gave nothing at all. Everybody stuck together. Who cares? Okay, so this was y'all Ultimatum review. Also, what was I saying? I don't even know how I got on that topic, but back to the show. I done got all off track, y'all. All off track. So Dr. Latoya, this is the one thing I wanted to mention before I close it out. Well, let me first get to the end, then I'll backtrack. They, Carlos gave them their props, and they toasted Kobe could drink water because she's with child. Okay, and that was that. So when Kristina and Dr. Latoya was arguing, right, and Kristina had said, "This is what your degree got you," in one of the scenes at the brunch. So Carlos asked Dr. Latoya, "How did you feel about that?" She was like, "I was hurt by that." I was like, first of all, y'all claim to be hurt by every little thing on this show. Every little piece of shade thrown, it hurt y'all. Everything hurt y'all. Everything hurt y'all. So it's shade. Move on. Just like Kobe Cat. It wasn't that serious. Move on. So anyway, like, am I insensitive? Like, what is it? So she was like, it hurt me because, I went to school for this many years, and in sports medicine, it's mostly white men. So I have to prove myself every day there. And then with wine, I'm at the 1% of black people in the wine industry, which is true. I got to prove my love over there. So she's like, for her to say that, yeah, that hurt me. So yeah, that's why I was coming at her. I was like, really? Okay, girl. Okay. Yeah, that part was funny to me. I was just like, girl, it was that serious for you? Anyway, I think I'm gonna get off this live, y'all, because I gotta make my chicken. Okay, and it's it's only 5. Well, it's 4:59. Anyway, yeah, that was it. If y'all was watching, no, Real Housewives of Atlanta, don't it come on at 5:00 on the West Coast, 8:00 for the East Coast? I don't know. I watch it on Mondays on Peacock, so I really don't know. So I was hoping I didn't cut into nobody's Real Housewives of Atlanta time, no. But if you're already watching it, it's all good. Catch this on the replay if you were not in the live chat. Also, I'm gonna just tell y'all a quick funny story. I'm gonna go. So after I got off the live last week, right, I was rewatching my live to see how I was looking, how I was doing. I'm trying to improve, critique myself, in a positive, healthy way. And I was like, what was going on with my wig? I didn't know. I had some issues with my hair last time that I was not happy or proud of. So I was like, okay, I'm going to hopefully fix it better this time. But so if anybody was judging me, I'm okay because I seen it for myself. Okay. But that's okay. We just learn and we do better and we grow with everything. So but I was just cracking up at it. But I still was proud of myself for doing the live. This is like probably the 3rd live I've done, I think, maybe 3rd or 4th live, not counting lives of other people. My own very, very own live. This is like the 3rd one I've done. Yeah. Speaking of that, if you didn't catch the live for last week's review, go check that out. If you're a Ready to Love fan, go check out all the reviews for that. If you're an Ultimatum fan, check out the reviews I did for that. If you have used or subscribed to HelloFresh, I did a couple of shorts about HelloFresh, so go check those out. If you're a Love and Marriage Huntsville fan and you're catching up, getting ready for this next new second part of the season, and you want to catch up on the episodes, check out the past reviews I've done for Love and Marriage Huntsville. And I'm going to get on out of here, y'all. Throw this chicken in the oven. Get ready for another work week. I can't wait for my fall break, y'all. I got like 2 or 3 weeks to go. Okay, September 30th. No, September 29th is the last day. I cannot wait. Okay, I'm going to Vegas for the fall break. So I'm just ready to get that going. But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.